Cyberbullying is a modern epidemic. What are the laws that apply to cyberbullying, sexting, and sextortion? And how effective are those laws in preventing cyberbullying? The answer is not very effective. Welcome to PA Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco, your host. Do you watch my YouTube channel but haven't subscribed yet? Why not now? It's easy and free. Just click the red button and the bell right beside it, and you will be notified of all new content. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. In part 1, we discussed the 3 types of cyberbullying: catfishing, sextortion, and traditional bullying through electronic messages. In this episode, we will discuss cyberbullying and sextortion law. What relief from crime will a victim of cyberbullying have? Unfortunately, 85% of victims of cyberbullying don't tell their parents because they don't want to lose their privileges to technology, their freedom from supervision from parents, or, particularly in the instances of sexting, to admit how they got in trouble in the first place. The 15% of parents who do learn about their children who have become victims of cyberbullying first go to the school for help. Most schools have zero-tolerance policies, but those policies have to be balanced by the First Amendment. Professor Mark Grabowski summarized this balancing the schools have to do.
Believe it or not, cyberbullying is not always illegal. Cyberbullying is the use of email, instant messaging, chat rooms, pagers, cell phones, or other forms of information technology to deliberately harass, threaten, or intimidate someone. Following recent student suicides that were linked to cyberbullying, many states have passed or are considering laws that would criminalize cyberbullying. Such legislation, however, raises First Amendment issues. The problem is, cyberbullying is often limited to online insults about things like someone's physical appearance, their intelligence, their friends, or things of that nature. So, insults such as Sam is dumb, Jamal is fat, or Pedro is ugly are not illegal. They are simply opinions, and therefore protected by the First Amendment, and that constitutional protection extends to mean opinions. However, private schools can punish all forms of cyberbullying because they're not governed by the First Amendment. Only public schools and the government are restricted by the Constitution's Free Speech Protection Clause. In addition, the United States Supreme Court has allowed public school officials in grades K through 12 to restrict student speech if it interferes with the school's educational mission. So, public elementary schools and public high schools could probably punish students for cyberbullying with impunity. School officials may have difficulty identifying the culprits, however, since cyberbullying is often done anonymously. But the problem is, cyberbullying is not limited to children in K through 12 schools. It can occur in college and in the workplace. When a relationship goes bad, a person may cyberbully their former boyfriend or girlfriend. What can be done to stop that? Some forms of cyberbullying are illegal, regardless of where it happens or who does it. If a statement is threatening, such as "I'm going to kill you," it's not protected by the First Amendment. Or if the statement is libelous, which means it's provably false and seriously damages someone's reputation, it's not protected by the First Amendment. Or if the statement is an invasion of privacy. For example, if a cyberbully reveals a private fact, like a medical condition, that the individual hasn't revealed to anyone, it's also not protected. These forms of cyberbullying are illegal, and were illegal long before the internet became a thing. Some people think the law needs to go even further, and that new or additional cyberbullying laws are needed. For example, in 2012, a New York State senator proposed an anti-cyberbullying bill that would have essentially banned all anonymous online speech. The bill would have required website administrators to remove any anonymous comments upon request unless the poster agreed to reveal his true name and his home address. The legislation would have undermined the constitutional right to speak anonymously on issues of public interest, a right which the Supreme Court has affirmed multiple times. In addition, several public universities have adopted speech codes that ban constitutionally protected speech. For example, in 2014, one state university adopted an anti-cyberbullying policy that defined cyberbullying to include harsh text messages or emails. Under such a vague and broad definition, simply expressing anger at a roommate for not taking out the garbage could get a student in trouble. Needless to say, when such codes are challenged in court, they invariably are struck down by judges. While the Supreme Court gives some leeway to K-12 school administrators, they typically don't do the same for speech restrictions at public universities. Aside from the constitutional issues, there is also opposition to new cyberbullying laws because some people believe you can't legislate norms. You can only teach norms. Just because there's a law, people don't necessarily follow it. For example, look at using cell phones while driving. Most people seem to do it, especially teenagers. The law in itself does not render citizens virtuous. So in short, stopping cyberbullying through laws will remain a challenge. Education and parenting are arguably better routes to fix the problem.
As an aside note, private schools have wider latitude in restricting speech because they are not restricted by the Constitution. But they don't get governmental immunity protection that public schools get, and therefore are more susceptible to being sued after the fact. Education and parenting do appear to be better routes to fix this cyberbullying epidemic than legal avenues. But in this episode, let's just stick to the law. As Professor Grabowski said, the schools don't know how to effectively handle cyberbullying complaints and don't provide complete relief or satisfaction after the damage occurs. So often, they kick the problem back to the parents. So if the problem is serious enough, the parents go to the police. The criminal laws and criminal justice system are not set up for cyberbullying. The majority of the criminal code is centuries old, whereas the internet is relatively young, and the criminal justice system mostly uses non-criminal laws like stalking and harassment to control internet-based crimes. Just recently in 2016, the PA legislature passed an anti-cyber harassment law to protect minors, Section 2709, cyber harassment. Minors frequently victimize other minors, so the judge has an opportunity to sentence offender to cyberbullying, to a diversionary program or classes to avoid a permanent criminal record if he completes the course satisfactorily. The problem with how the laws are written in Pennsylvania is that a police department could potentially tell parents of a victim of sexting that both parties have violated the law. The law appears to be a deterrent, but it can only be enforced or work if the victim risks punishment as well. So the police might not be the solution either, and parents could be forced into a private lawyer. The civil justice system frowns on these cases because it's not set up for cyberbullying either. You are talking about suing your classmates, ex-significant others, friends, ex-friends, parents of friends, or your school. It's something that can be considered, but it's not like car accidents where the entire civil justice system requires drivers to carry insurance. Quite the opposite. Insurance often excludes claims, and lawsuits against public institutions can be excluded by immunity. So you could have a lawsuit costing anywhere from $20,000, $25,000 up to $100,000 and get a judgment anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million or more. But if you can't collect on it, you can feel victimized a second time. So to repeat, we need to look to education and parenting for the best deterrent for this epidemic. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. Stay tuned for part 3, where we will discuss more effective solutions on how to address cyberbullying. If you like this episode, please click that like thumbs up below and forward this link to all the people on your contact lists and Facebook friends. And comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Signing off. Tune in next time. Bye for now.